Welcome to Fandom Night, the show that clones itself and then finds some embryo mother and has 8 kids but kills off 6 of them so that 2 of them can live, but then another clone shows up that is completely unexplainable and he looks exactly like us, and we have a recessive and a dominant clone, and holy crap, we're going to talk Metal Gear.
Good for you.
Anyway.
Good for you with that spiel. That was good.
So, I'm your host, Reploid Bill William Bush, and if you have been watching this show or listening to it for a while, you probably notice that it sounds a little better today. We are working with some more professional equipment.
You're welcome, by the way.
Thanks to Seth.
So,
I decided that, like most of my life, I need to be broke as broke as possible. So, $500 for a new soundboard, just like when we went to the convention, and I dropped $200 on something that wasn't for me.
holy crap.
And $50 for something that wasn't for me. And $45 for something that wasn't for me.
Let's just say he was very generous with his money.
So, Reploid Bill William Bush.
Said level Sario.
Shane McCree, proto guy.
And we are talking Metal Gear for the MSX today.
And thank God.
Thank
So,
God.
first, well, you know what? Actually, let's change this a little bit. First off, what was your first experience with this?
Well, for me, it took all the way up until the HD remakes of, what was it? It was Metal Gear Solid 3.
If you got
Was
the
it two on Peace Walker?
if you got the collection,
Xbox 360?
Yeah, for the 360.
It was
so
yeah,
it
Metal
it
was,
Gear
came with
2,
3
Metal Gear
games.
3.
yeah, it did. It was 2, 3, and Peace
Yep.
Walker.
Technically, it came with 4 games.
Yeah. No, 5. Because it came with the MSX
Yeah.
version of this and the MSX version of 2.
Yeah.
'Cause
Plus
that's how I was
Peace
able to
Walker,
play
plus
all of
2, plus 3.
Oh no, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So 5 games.
Yeah. And it took up until then to actually sit down and play them.
Well, I'm a lot like Seth because I own that collection. I never played the second one. I did not give Metal Gear 2 a try.
Okay.
I gave this one a try. And we're going to say the key word is there is try.
What, you didn't do what I had to do, which was go to GameFAQs and look up a how-to?
Shane didn't last that long.
How to play?
Basically, when you played Metal Gear Solid, and and everybody who's played those games know how they are, when you try to go backwards, it can be difficult. It can be very difficult.
Yeah.
This is the first. This was the very first Metal Gear game.
OG is a mug.
So, since it doesn't have a lot of the neat little gizmos that the newer games have, like for first person.
Okay, look, let me stop you right there. Technically, for those of you who have been paying attention, we essentially got this on the NES. They just fucked it a little bit for
They rearranged the game. You come in from the forest, which doesn't even exist in the MSX.
Right, no.
And also they changed some of your equipment and they altered parts of the storyline, and then they changed the final boss. You
Yeah.
fight a supercomputer in the Nintendo. You just walk
which
up,
is some weak
put
shit.
some
Plant
bombs
C4,
on a computer, and the computer blows up.
Yeah.
Now, probably the easiest boss in gaming history. If it's a stationary computer. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure it was, if I remember
Yeah,
right.
it didn't
Yeah.
move. So, but in the MSX version, you fought Metal Gear.
Now, to be fair, Metal Gear was not active yet, but there was a security system where these lasers were shooting at you, so you had to run back and forth and plant C4 at the base and destroy the legs so that it would topple down onto itself and be destroyed, and you had to avoid the lasers while doing it.
But
Not to mention the fact that you also had to know the specific pattern to do it in.
Yes.
but like I said, my experience with this game is I've seen you beat it, so I've seen the game all the way through.
God damn it, Bill. Why did you alert the guard?
But
Dude, in Metal Gear
And
1...
why didn't you eat the ration so you could pick up the ration?
Oh my God, this game gets highly irritating
let's just say it was quite enjoyable to watch Bill. How do I say it? What's that word? Fail?
Oh, that's such a rare word for me.
Yeah, it is.
It was nice. It was a nice change of pace.
No, this game is hard.
You know,
like,
by the
if-
way,
especially
Shane, the truck trick.
yeah. Did you just see me? Truck it up?
You know
He
that
literally didn't get caught until he was about to walk out the door.
you do.
And it counted as me not getting caught because you can't see in those trucks.
You do know that the truck trick never works for me. It's never have, and I don't see it ever happening in the foreseeable future. But
That's because you don't believe in the truck, Shane.
oh wow, trust me, I believed the truck would work. And when you get grenades thrown at you, you stop believing. They threw grenades at me in the truck.
Snake, this is the villain. Over.
No shit. So,
But I honestly, your first experience with this game was the version that we got from Nintendo. I know that.
yeah, I want to say I rented it somewhere. I can't remember how or why, but I remember playing it for Nintendo, and then I remember, of course, not playing anything else. I got to Metal Gear Solid, and Metal Gear Solid piqued my interest to be like, man, I remember something else, Metal Gear, and I couldn't think of what. So I went into the there's like specials in Metal Gear Solid 1 where you can like read about the past games. So then I went online and I was like, it's emulator time.
Yep.
And I got an MSX emulator thing and I downloaded Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, and that was my first time losing at the game.
And losing, he did.
Now, I did beat the game on the emulator. I did beat it on the Nintendo. Then Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence, I believe was the name of the game, came out. And I bought that, and I beat it again, because when you beat the game, it unlocks a whole bunch of stuff, and part of what it unlocked, if I remember right, was Metal Gear 1 and 2. So I beat it then, and then just recently, we played the HD version on the 360, and I beat the game again.
Yep.
So I've beat the shit up out of this game.
It only took many a moon to do so.
To
Well-
be fair, you're seeing nearly uncut footage. It took about 4 hours to beat the entire game. What I did was I cut out all of the unnecessary, like the parts where I had failed and things like that. Like, there's a couple areas where I might have died, and what I did was I just cut the footage so it would run better for what we were doing here.
Yeah.
I left in 1 or 2 of my deaths, I think. But my point was this entire video runs about 2 hours and 2 minutes. So if you were to just start at the start of the game and go through exactly like you're seeing on this video, this game takes roughly 2 hours. And that's because I had to stop and think about where I was going once or twice. You could probably do this game in an
Goddamn
hour and
pylon.
20 minutes.
Actually, there are people who know how to speedrun this game, and if they speedrun it, I think it only takes them like 40 minutes, maybe.
That doesn't surprise me at all. So, first we see it.
And it still kind of looks like poopy. I mean, you could still clearly tell, like, Snake, the different enemies. You don't have to worry about a dog in this one, not until way later. You know, you could tell that the dudes on the roof have jetpacks and are flying. Surprisingly, the sneaking still works like you're doing right there. Like, technically, that dude should have seen you a couple times, but because you're behind the box, you're fine. You know.
I think if I had to say something about the way the graphics are a top-down perspective, but they're an angled top-down perspective, which adds a little bit of depth, but I think it actually creates another problem. I feel like you could see his head peeking out across the top of that box.
Yeah.
But evidently you can't. Evidently that's a really tall box. And I think that, like, later on, he's right. You'll come across these enemies that are flying, and if it just looks like they're moving fast. So you'll try to shoot them, and they're like, nope. And you're like,
Yep.
ah, crap.
Why can't I hit you? Everything moves in a linear pathway. Not these guys.
For being the first Metal Gear in the series, even today, in my opinion, it actually still looks like it holds up pretty well.
Decently, it
Yeah,
does.
I mean,
Especially, this is the what you're looking at is ripped from the HD version, and
You should have gone sooner, Bill.
it messed up. It messed up during the recording. Like halfway through the video, it's going to change, and it's going to look a lot better. Something went wrong when we were first recording,
Run,
and
Bill, run.
I
Run,
think
Bill.
the first 15 or 20 minutes, it looks like this. You could see the scan lines, and then for some reason, it cleared up. Like the video capture equipment messed up for the first 15, 20 minutes. So that's what you're seeing is all these scan lines. These will just go away halfway through this episode.
So visually, in my opinion, like I said, for it being a game in the 80s, I've seen games in the 80s that look worse now. I mean,
Look at Mario. Let's be honest. I think it looks better than Mario.
Mario's a classic.
It is a classic.
But if you play the original Super Mario Brothers, it does not hold up today's standards.
It's awfully blocky.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this game now everybody knows that Kojima when he was making Metal Gear, he would push the limits of the console it was on.
Come on, guy.
And so this being the MSX, for its time, I'm assuming that this pushed the damn thing to its limit.
I can't verify or disagree with that, but I will say that the game looks good. I mean, like I said, look at Mario, look at Kid Icarus, there are so many Nintendo games that you can quote that they could have looked better because like this, everything, like I said, is this top-down perspective, and it's a long game, and there's a lot of different areas, and with the map and everything, you'd imagine this would look a lot more pixelated than it does, but it doesn't. It looks really good for its time, and I can tell it's still pixelated. It's an old game, but you look at Mario, Kid Icarus, games like that. Those are pixelated monstrosities.
Oh, yeah.
The first Castlevania looks
Oh,
great,
God.
but
Yeah.
those are some hard pixels.
Uh-huh.
And this, I don't see it as much.
Yeah, when you compare it to those games, obviously this is the better looking game. Obviously. I mean, Kojima did very well when he made these games to look as good as they could for the hardware that they were on.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, overall, this game came out in '87 in Japan. So, and obviously you all know that, the MSX is something that we didn't get.
No,
We
I don't
got-
believe.
So
no, that's
that
because
was-
if
that
I
was-
remember correctly, the MSX is actually like a computer.
it's a home computer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it would essentially be the same as saying, oh, well, they didn't get to play Oregon Trail over in Japan because they didn't have, Macs at the time.
To be fair,
You know?
they could have released this at that time, and I don't know if it would have came on like one of those floppy disks or something or whatever it would have been.
Yeah.
But we could have got it. We just simply didn't. But games were not at that.
We got
It was big, but it wasn't. Nintendo brought it back for America.
when this game finally did come to America, sadly, we got the lesser version.
Yeah.
Because we got like Bill said at the start of this episode, we got him coming in from the forest, which never happened because in the original game he comes from he comes out of the water into
he comes down the canal.
the canal and he comes
yeah.
in and he comes into the hangar, while and then obviously he said that items changed, and especially the biggest kicker was the final boss.
Yeah.
Going from it being a Metal Gear in the original to a super stationary computer.
Well, then at the same time, there's also the meme factor of I feel asleep.
Yeah.
Like, that does not happen in this.
Right.
In this version of the game, they do not feel asleep.
This is now. Don't get me wrong. I will say that the version that we got didn't look awful,
No, it
No.
didn't.
and I would still say that if you played it today, it holds up fairly well considering when it was released, what it was released on. It looks better than, like Bill said, your Mario, your Castlevania.
Mm-hmm.
We can even throw Zelda in there.
And let's be honest,
Yeah.
I'm not tearing these games apart because
No.
I still love Zelda and Mario 3. I think Mario 3 might look better than this because Mario 3 was more rounded and they
Yeah.
kind of figured it out. But like Mario 1 and some of those early games, they're very blocky looking games.
Oh, by the way, here come rocket soldiers. Here
The
in a
first
minute.
Mega Man even looks great, but it's very blocky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Everything is nothing more than pixels.
so our overall
Oh yeah, that's right. You don't have
view
the bomb
of-
suit. Never mind.
of the of how it looks, we all think it still holds up today.
Yes. So next, after we've seen our game, normally we hear the game. And to be fair, it did have a decent little soundtrack. Like, I want to say during the time that you're roaming around in here, it's very much like the music is like dun 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 dun,
Yep.
dun, and it has this little
Dun,
atmosphere
dun,
to
yep.
it that just
Until
works.
Bill takes the box off and walks in front of these morons or starts moving while in the box. And
And then when you get caught, it still has that little thing. Yep.
Yeah.
But it still has that noise, that bling. He's kept that through the whole series. And they still have the question mark and the surprise, the exclamation mark, things like that. That's all still there. And then right there he said, yawn, man, I'm sleepy, instead of, ugh, I feel asleep.
Yay, ammo.
You ever
We needed
felt
that.
asleep before, Bill?
I've never feel asleep.
You better start smoking a cigarette, boy.
But yeah, like the soundtrack is.
Oh, and when you take damage from the cigarettes, that still sits. That bing.
Oh, yep, that bing noise is still
So,
there.
yeah, all the
The gun's not very impressive. It's very much like a,
Yeah,
Until you get the machine gun, and then it's.
Well, like
but
I
it's
said,
still like weird
Yeah.
little pop noises.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't give you the effect of a big badass.
There's a lot of sounds in the game that were really good, and like Bill said, some of the guns sound like you're shooting a freaking BB gun,
Yeah.
not an actual gun that shoots bullets. So there were some things that held up very well, and there were some things that just failed.
It's true.
Yeah.
But you also got to think of the time, the hardware. When you're putting these games on, whether it was a floppy disk, a
I
cartridge.
mean, I guess
a
when I stop and think about it, I don't think Contra had very good gun noises either. I think the spread gun did something like queek 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 queek, like every time you shot it,
Yeah.
and the first gun was very much like. Psh, 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 psh.
But like I said, the atmospheric noise of
Mm-hmm.
walking around this base was.
Well, shit.
It was
then,
very
Then at the
tense.
same time, then you start fighting stuff like the Hind D once you get up on the freaking roof.
That's
and
awesome.
You can tell
The
it
boss
sounds
music
like
is
an
great.
Actual, well, not just the boss music, but you could tell it's actually supposed to be a helicopter. Like, even though it doesn't sound like your normal chopper noise, it still sounds like very
You can
similar.
tell that it's a
Yeah.
helicopter.
You can tell. You
So-
know, and then at the same time, the dogs actually bark. Now, mind you, it's just burp, burp, burp,
Yes.
burp.
Like I-
Yes.
So like I said,
It's still there.
for its time, just like the visuals, the sound held up pretty well on some things. So some things it completely dropped the ball on.
I
Yes.
think you're a pixel too. Oh, you got lucky.
No, I'm pixel perfect, sir.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. You're the one that can use the truck. If that would have been Shane, he would have been caught.
Well, Shane would have been dead.
His head would have been poking out around
Shane
the
wouldn't have
box.
got past the second screen.
That's a question. Well, okay, actually, all right, we've heard our game, so now I'm going to take us back real quick to gameplay, because we are going to talk about that real quick. There was a difficulty to this game that is insane. Like,
Oh, yeah.
sometimes you feel like you can do something that you cannot do, and sometimes you feel like you couldn't get away with something, and you would surprise the shit out of yourself that you did
Yeah.
get away with something.
Well,
Like, how hard do you feel the game was? Because I don't think you beat it like ever. Like you.
no, I never beat it. Like I told you, when you go from playing the newer ones to this top-down version, what you can do in the newer ones, when I mean newer, I mean any of the Metal Gear Solid ones, the way you can, the top-down kind of messed with me some because I don't know if they can see me. the cameras. I can't tell.
Alerted in the box.
I can't tell if they can
I
see
remember
me.
that.
I can't tell if the
like,
cameras.
God damn it.
The cameras are messing with me. I'm like, can the camera see me? I can't tell. It's not like this Metal Gear Solid versions where I can obviously tell if that man is looking at me, where I can obviously tell if that camera is pointing right at me.
Yeah,
So-
but sometimes that doesn't exactly work out because I've had it in like I was and keyword there's was playing 5, and there are times when I'm literally on the ground, no camo, no nothing, just my normal clothes and shit, laying on the ground. My foot is in a bush, and somehow that instantly like boosts my stealth ability through the fucking roof because some dude walks up, looks at me, and he goes, "Huh?" And I go, and he goes, "Huh."
It's not perfect.
Never has been.
Never
Yeah.
has been perfect.
But I think it never will be on purpose. Like there's a difference between playing like Metal Gear and playing like the Splinter Cell games.
Yeah.
Like Splinter Cell is unforgiving as hell. Like that dude gets caught all the fucking time. And even when you do start to get good at the game, like those people have night vision or something. I'm in an office. My bar is all the way at the bottom. It says I'm basically a shadow on the wall. And then this guy will walk into the office and look over and be like, "Who's over there?" And I'm like, "You motherfucker. You do not see me."
yes.
But this
you
game
don't
is...
even have a flashlight or nothing, and you see me.
There
Fuck
are
you.
times
These games are still built to be games.
yes.
Yeah.
And part of that is he has this goofy attitude and a fun atmosphere for that you're playing a game. Like you shouldn't stress all the time about am I hidden and am I not hidden. You should have a challenge, but it should be an enjoyable challenge, not like this is fucking real life and these are like fucking cat people.
Yeah. Kind of like that dude there. Took a half a step away, and all of a sudden, psh, don't move. Oh, well, where the fuck did you come from? Because I just cleared out this entire hall.
See how it fixed it. See that?
Yeah.
That's
So-
the way the game actually looks. So it looks great.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and see,
Punching a
back
wall.
then, Snake was manly. You put him in prison, no.
Yeah.
Yes, if you've noticed, if you've played any of the Solid games, when he gets
Well-
caught, he needs a codex, or if you stay in Metal Gear Solid 1, if you stay in the prison long enough, Gray Fox will come and get you out.
Yep.
But there, the catch-up trick can get you out. But like Bill said, in this game, if the Snake from the same guy, but if it was him in his younger years, he'd have just punched his way out.
He just
Through a
punched
wall.
through the concrete wall. He was
Which
like, "No, I'm getting
It's
out."
actually kind of funny that you say that, though, because that's the other thing that ends up being hilarious about that is technically Solid is this, just with a different story.
There's a lot of people that believe that because of the similarities between this and what was going on in Metal Gear Solid, that this Metal Gear Solid is kind of like a tribute or a remake of this, but then they referenced this. So
Yeah.
this did happen.
So it's basically like a tribute. For all intents and purposes, it's like a tribute
Well,
to the old
let's
game.
if you were to break down Metal
hey.
Gear games,
About to see
Metal
puppy.
Gear Solid games, you would find that you always fight a flying enemy,
Yep.
and it usually works about the same way. There's almost always an electric floor, a gas room.
Yep.
So when in this game you fought a Hind,
There's also a
and Metal
bug.
Gear Solid you fought a Hind.
Yep.
So you
And if you get captured, they'll put transmitters or bombs in your
Yep.
equipment. That even happened back in the first game.
Yep.
Yep.
So it tributes. These games are famous for each one being a unique game while giving continuous tribute to the games that came before it. Even as far as when you play the other games, if they do flashbacks like in Metal Gear 2 or 3, which 3 no, but Metal Gear Solid 2, when they do flashbacks, they show the PS1 graphics. They
Yep.
go back to what it looked like and re-show the original scenes.
Yeah, kind of like in Symphony of the Night. When,
Or even in Metal Gear
Alucard-
Solid 2, they reference this game during the end when you're in GW, and he says, "Yeah, the GW's going crazy." Which, of course, I'm sorry if I'm ruining this for somebody, but because that's the guy that's been telling you to do your mission the whole game is GW, and all of a sudden, when you get there, he's like, your mission is to infiltrate outer heaven, and you'll see scenes from this game in place of the digit box. So it's always been like a weird tribute kind of
That
thing.
guy took everything you had.
Almost.
Sometimes-
Still has a couple bullets.
Sometimes grenades are not enough.
By the way, here's ammo, and here's a key card. And leave and come back and get ammo.
So we've talked gameplay.
Yep.
We've talked how it sounds. At this point, we engross ourselves in the tale of the first Metal Gear game. And just for argument purposes, this is not the first game chronologically.
No, not in the least.
Like, this might be the 6th or even 7th game if we're going to take it chronologically.
Chronologically, I'm good at
3,
this. 3,
Peace Walker.
Portable Ops,
Yeah.
Peace Walker, Ground Zeroes, Phantom Pain, this. So this would be the
Yeah.
6th game.
This is the 6th game.
Chron-
technically.
in the timeline.
Until Konami decides to fuck with the storyline, and here's a 6, and 6 takes place somewhere in the middle that completely retcons the entire
I'm
thing.
confused. What's Konami?
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm using old words.
We'll see. We'll see.
Cocksuckers that decided to ruin our video gaming experience.
I've heard they've already hired
I've heard of
somebody
them.
else to do the Metal Gear games.
I don't
They've
care.
already casted a new guy to take it over.
He better
and-
be a fan.
You can say
Because
that
so far, fans taking over
you can
projects.
you can
is a
call
good
this.
thing.
I'll say this. Seth just made a very good point. If this dude is a fan,
Goddamn puppies.
just like there are people now, there are movies being made, just like the new Star Wars. The new Star Wars is made by a fan. Somebody who grew up with Star Wars, who knows Star Wars, who understands it, who loves it, who was addicted to it and enjoyed it. And
There's a reason why it just became the greatest film of all time.
there's a
Well,
reason
money-wise.
that it came out the way it did, because there's so much love, devotion, and attention to the original project that what you're seeing is a fan's dream.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're a fan and he's a fan,
He's not going to give us Metal Gear Solid 5, the cell phone game that you could play on your PS4.
that's what I'm hoping. Hopefully the next game, if done right, if done by a fan that actually appreciates the material and sticks with it.
For me, he has to be a fan, because I'm going to go to that purist talk.
Dead or Alive worked out.
Yeah.
It did, but
The last part 4 was the last one done by Itagaki, and the new guy that took over, he did 5. And for what it's worth, I think 5 is very solid.
it is. I will give you that, but you don't always get that.
No,
So-
you don't.
So for this for Metal Gear, obviously, when it comes to Metal Gear, I'm a damn purist. If it's not done by Hideo Kojima, I don't want nothing to do with it, because he's the one that created the series. It's his baby that they took from him.
I will say though that I've
Here's
liked.
the question. If you had a chance at getting the Metal Gear Solid 2, I think it was? Because I can't remember if it was just Solid or if it's Solid 2. But if you had a chance at getting the slot machines, would you take them?
No,
I
don't want a slot machine.
No, I don't want a slot machine. I want a game. I want an actual.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying because technically that slot machine does have an actual game built into it as the bonus.
Yeah,
Which he kind of did help design, but kind of didn't.
the whole I mean, I don't want to get into it.
I think
Because
it's
just
going to
make me
be
mad.
it's going to be a sore spot for gamers. This is going to cause a weird divide. This is going to be exactly like what happened with Star Trek, exactly like what happened with Ninja Turtles, exactly like what happened with Star Wars. They're going to create a divide now where there's going to be all these people that are like, nope, and yes, just like we did it right before we went to start this. Somebody mentioned, I think it was Scott mentioned Metal Gear Snake's Revenge.
Thank you, Nintendo.
That is not done by Hideo Kojima.
And look how bad that
It's
turned
not
out.
even. It's
That
not
was-
even
that's the
supervised.
GT of
His
the,
name's nowhere in it.
Yeah.
Like it's not even. It's not even. And here's the thing, though. That's another thing that worries me. That was done by a fan. A fan of the first Metal Gear game was like, there has to be another one of these. And so he petitioned basically at his company to get a second one made, and he finally got to make it. And even when it was done, he was like, I would really love for Kojima to come back and do another one of these because I don't feel that what I've done is up to par.
Yeah.
Better find you some rations, boy.
But since you use that as an example, as of right now, I have no hope.
Yeah, I'm worried about it myself.
I have no hope.
Yeah.
And because they took it from what Konami did to Kojima, like I said, I don't really want to get into it because all he's going to do is just make me mad because they screwed him. They screwed him hardcore. Every gamer who's a fan of Kojima knows that he got screwed. So, but I'm glad that he finally is on his own.
Aren't you not going to use the wall trick?
He's got his own company.
Yeah.
And he is partnered with Sony.
Yep.
So the next game will be a PS4 exclusive. And that I can't wait to see what he has planned next.
Right.
So, because I'm a fan of him. I'm a fan of his work.
Sometimes I am. I hated that Castlevania.
I think they just put his logo on there to sell it. Anytime you see, when I see a game, anytime I see a game with Kojima Productions stamped on there, I'm like, oh, that's basically a seal of approval.
It's happened with Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
He's put his name on his friends' movies and things like that.
And people go to see it because of his name.
Yep.
And it ends up being terrible movies. It's basically a ploy to sell games.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's a smart plan.
From a business standpoint,
yes.
It's intelligent, but
it can also hurt the name that you're trying to sell, and if the name
and then
is the powerhouse that's bringing that shit in, and people, this is just like the problem we're having right now. If I was Marvel, if I was Disney, I'm going to tell you something right now. I would put it in court, in writing, immediately, that while they're allowed to put small print at the start of the movie saying this movie is based on Marvel characters and blah, 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 do not put my logo at the start of your fucking Fox movie.
Yeah.
People do not know that the first 3 Spider-Man movies the first 5 Spider-Man movies are done by Sony. They think it's a fucking Marvel film. It's not.
It's a Sony film. Marvel films are done by Marvel Studios.
Because people are like, I can't believe they're rebooting Spider-Man again. How many times do we have to go through this?
As many
Marvel
as it takes
has
before
never
they can get it back.
Marvel has never booted up a Spider-Man franchise.
That was all Sony.
Oh, by the way, there's another one here. What was it? It was called the Fantastic Fuck-Ass Four.
That's a Fox movie.
Marvel
has not touched the Fantastic Four. And here's part of the reason why. If they did Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom would be very different. We would get the Kree.
Yeah.
Like, they would introduce the intergalactic part of the Fantastic Four. I'm telling you, the first couple things of the Fantastic Four, I'll bet you they'd go up in their experimental ship, they would get hit by some sort of cosmic wave, and they would end up not back on Earth discovering their powers. I think that they would immediately become galaxy hoppers.
Yep.
And they would be intertwined with the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, and they would be affecting that stuff with the Kree Empire and shit.
Yep. You'd have the Kree, you'd have the Skrulls, you'd have the Shi'ar.
I know it's never going to happen.
Yeah, you'd have a lot of
If
aliens.
it happens, it happens. I don't see it in the foreseeable future. I look forward.
It's too ruined. Fox, that's what I mean. People don't know. so they think that this is a Marvel movie.
They keep doing it because you go see
Yeah.
when you go see the Deadpool movie next month, it's gonna have the Marvel logo
and
on
people are going to
Yep.
think it's a Marvel
it.
movie.
Yes, Deadpool is a Marvel character, just like the Fantastic Four, just like the X-Men, just like Spider-Man. They're all Marvel characters, but they're not done by Marvel Studios.
No.
Deadpool is a Fox movie. Now, obviously, the X-Men movies, there were some good ones.
Yes.
There were some terrible
There's
ones.
some shit ones and there's some good ones.
That franchise, that franchise is surviving while Fantastic Four has just failed.
Now, there's only one speculation I will make upon Deadpool, and it comes down to two different things. One, Ryan Reynolds actually likes the character, so he helped to create the story in bits and pieces. If I remember correctly, he actually helped to write the script. The other thing, you remember the commercial for Arkham Origins? You know what I mean? The one where it's young Bruce Wayne
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you see the shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the guy who actually made that one?
No.
Okay, well, the guy that actually made that commercial, he's the one directing Deadpool. So when it comes down to the CGI and anything needed, I'm pretty sure motherfucker can get it done.
I've told
The
Bill
special effects, I'm not too worried about.
I've told Bill this before.
And Deadpool is a good portion of special effects.
I
lie.
am not a Deadpool fan.
I like his character, but I'm not like Nick and just gonna go running around jerking my dick all day, being like, Deadpool is the greatest guy in the history of ever.
But I will go see it because, like I've told Bill, he's a Marvel character. I go see every Marvel movie. Marvel Studios, Fox. Sadly, I did see that new Fantastic Four, and basically,
So I'm still the only smart one in the group.
Yes, basically, I went to the theater and I took my wallet out and I threw my money in the trash. 'Cause that's essentially what I did. But no, I'm going to go see it because I see every Marvel movie. I see DC's the same way. I see every DC movie. And I even went to see, once again, Money in the Trash Green Lantern movie.
So I'm going to be honest. I don't know how we ended up this far off subject, but we're on the story.
You know,
This is why I'm confused. We get off topic a lot, but somehow we went from talking about that this is the 6th game.
Oh, we got off topic because we started discussing how Kojima sometimes...
and we talked fan movies
the
and
names
things,
get put
but
on
somehow
shit.
we ended up talking about the Deadpool movie from this is the 6th in the series.
you can tell that our fandom is enormous.
We just hardcore went off track here.
If you didn't notice,
Welcome to Fandom Night.
if you guys didn't know this, we're super nerds.
So, this is the 6th game in the series.
Yes, get back on Metal Gear.
Yeah, we haven't done that one in a minute, though. I mean, you know.
I think it was due to get off track.
Granted, I will give us the stipulation of we technically haven't recorded anything in, about a month and a half now.
Because of the con and everything
Yeah,
else.
the break
Yeah.
and the convention and everything. But, yeah, that's... Yeah.
Got to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
So back on track. 6th game in the chronological timeline. 1st game in the release.
So what's happening here?
What's happening is
Well,
you're
currently
trying to get
you're
through
trying-
that door. And
Yeah.
Now you're
You
in that
didn't
door.
have the correct
No,
key
really.
card.
What's the story?
Basically, okay. The story is you are a rookie member of Foxhound,
Yes.
being led by Big Boss. Your mission is essentially to infiltrate Outer Heaven to rescue the number 1 member of Foxhound, Gray Fox.
And also assess the possibility of a secret weapon and destroy it if it exists.
Yep.
I was getting there. But
But you're also taking your sweet-ass time.
I like to take my time when explaining stuff.
We
But
don't have time.
very-
We're already a quarter of the way through the video.
Very easy story to understand. For the, it's going to get complicated.
I want to say there's a couple people that are resistance that are in the base that are communicating with you and helping you throughout the game.
Yeah.
And I think that Big Boss figures out that they're doing it. I want to say he even kills one of them.
Yes, he does.
Like during a radio communication, she's about to tell you.
I have found out who it is that is in charge of this base. Sorry, I have to read it like that because I'm actually reading it as it scrolls.
Yeah, she'll be like, oh my God, I just figured out who the actual leader of Outer Heaven is, and then she'll die.
She gets cut off.
I figured out that it's
Dead.
Come in. Are you there?
Yep.
Damn it.
But being the first game, and when it came out, it was a pretty simple story to understand. Go rescue, friend, destroy, deadly weapon. Very easy concept. As you know, later down the road, this storyline will get more complicated.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan like we are, you know what's going on. Like, I've played all the games, except for your handhelds here and there that were not part of the actual main timeline.
The conveyance of the story was not bad.
No, it was very 80s.
I mean, I guess when I'm looking at the era, and I'm thinking like Final Fantasy 1 and stuff like that, I can't knock the game for having the conveyance it has. I simply cannot. But that being said, the entire game is told to you through radio, basically.
Yep.
The entire storyline is given to you through radio. And then at the end, of course, you fight Big Boss in a gunfight in this room full of pillars. You basically shoot him in the stomach and leave him for dead. And because you're an idiot, you assume that a guy that went through the last 5 games could die to one bullet in the stomach. You move on.
What's funny though is that at this point in time, if you're first playing this game, you're sitting here like,
right.
I figured out who the guy is. It's Big Boss. You're like, so? I mean, I wasn't attached to that character one bit. All he does is call me on the radio.
Right.
Yeah.
Then when the story expands and you play as Big Boss, and then you watch his descent into the villain, you're like, wow, I have a new appreciation for that first game.
Right.
Yeah.
But like that happens when they do that, when they expand a story like that. You're not attached to these characters. Like even Snake himself, I'm not so attached because this is the first game. You're just some rookie guy who, in my opinion, got lucky.
Yeah, and technically because we didn't have the other games to know the story. Now technically Snake should know the story of Big Boss and why he is the Big Boss. But at the same time it's like, this is Big Boss. Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay.
Who cares?
But he should only know the story. He should only know the story as far as the other guys do. Like there's rumors that are going around when you play the Phantom Pain, and when you're like on the base, sometimes you'll hear people being like, "Did you hear? Why does he have the name Boss anyway?" And then they're like, "Well, from what I heard," and they'll talk these rumors around the base. So you've kind of become this legend. And not necessarily all of it is true. I mean, a good portion of it, yes. But the way rumors work, they might be making you out to sound like a lot of shit happened that didn't happen.
The reason why he became a legend is when he took out the boss.
Right.
Because the boss was a legend. So if you beat the legend, the boss, you become a legend yourself. Big Boss. You were the better boss. Essentially. But no, I've heard that. Yeah, a lot of rumors on Mother Base.
You also save Gray Fox during this game.
Yes, you do. You actually do get to Gray Fox.
Which leads to a combat in the second game. Because you saved him here, he will join up with the faction in the second game, and you will be soldiers on 2 separate sides, and you will have a fist fight in a landfill, in a minefield.
Yeah, minefield.
How hardcore do you have to be? Like, we got mines all around us, but I don't give a fuck.
You know what it makes me think of?
What?
It makes me think of Yu Yu Hakusho, second season.
Where he's in that ring and he has that dagger fight.
And he put those knives down.
And they put their foot... They put one of their...
Against the knife.
And they're just punching each other. Yeah.
That's what it makes. It makes me feel like they had to stand face to face, like if we were to put this in modern today, if it was an anime or something, and they'd be punching each other, and the first one to fall down is dead. The first one that would actually take a fall would be done with.
And any of you all know who won that fight.
Yeah.
But Gray Fox, Gray Fox was something that was not someone to be messed with. And by the second game, because you defeated Big Boss, Solid Snake started becoming a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid Snake had already become but he became like, he wasn't like, okay, like the boss is some sort of weird televised legend. Like everybody seems to know about him. Or the big boss, I'm sorry. But Solid Snake is talked about in military circles.
If you're in the military, you hear about the legend Solid Snake.
Yeah.
If you're a
Yep.
civilian like we are, and someone mentions that, you're like, who? Who's a legend?
Yeah, from what I
Yeah,
can
who
tell,
did
it doesn't
what
seem like he's a known thing. It seems like he's talked about in the circles that would know him.
And to be fair, Snake doesn't care if everyone knows him. He doesn't even like being called the legend.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, when people hear his name in the military, everyone's like, wow. But Snake even said in one of the games, on the battlefield, you have no name.
So, here we are
Very
then.
military.
I believe we've talked over a good portion of the story. Talked about how it looks, talked about how it sounds, talked about how it plays. So, it is time to decide whether this game stands the test of time. It's rating time.
Oh, you're gonna.
I'll let you go ahead and go first. Yeah.
Aw, but I wanted to sit around and try to stall for time so we could get as close to the Hind D fight as possible.
All right. I'll go
Oh,
first
well.
then. I'll go first then. Well, like I was saying before, graphically, it actually I think it held up pretty well for the when it came out, from the time period it came from. The sound wise, parts of it, not all of it. Gameplay, this mechanic that you're seeing, this top down view, this is dated. It's very dated. They don't use this anymore. You play any stealth game.
They dropped it at Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, after Metal Gear 2.
But even Metal Gear Solid 1,
Was-
and even the remake on the GameCube was still playing with the top-down perspective.
Yes. But they don't do it anymore. So it didn't hold up in my opinion. For its time, yeah, it was interesting. But now, if you played, if Phantom Pain was top down, I don't think it would be enjoyable. I think it would be a nightmare. So
Yeah, they'd find a way to make it work, though. I mean,
Yeah,
hell,
but
they
you'd
did it
lose
for all
out.
the others.
you would lose out on the whole scope of how the
Oh, yeah.
game is.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, no, I know, but you
So,
know what I mean.
No. Gameplay mechanics does not hold up. Running around punching people till they're dead does not work.
Yes, it does. That's why CQC is still used in every other game.
Yes, but it's no. You can't just go around and see. You're not. No, you shoot people.
3 punches and you're out, sir.
Yeah.
But 3 punches in this game and they're out. But in the other games, they get up sometimes. That's not that.
Not anymore, they don't.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not when in the Phantom Pain you
No, the
grab
Phantom
them.
Pain is not fair because you grab a motherfucker and you throw a motherfucker at another motherfucker.
Why
you-
did you
you
have to
started
point to
to-
me to a motherfucker?
You started doing that. You started doing that with Peace Walker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big Boss has an amazing throw. He really does.
Hip toss.
So yes, they kept some of the core mechanics, the CQC stuff, but the gameplay doesn't hold up. Not in today's standards. It doesn't hold up. Storyline wise, it's not a bad story. It really isn't. I mean, is it the most engaging story ever? No, not even close. But it's not a bad story. If this game would have came out today, would a basic story such as go find your friend, destroy that weapon, would that hold up? Somewhat. All the Metal Gear games have it's a very basic story. They've never. It can get confusing when you're trying to mesh everything together, but basically, go save this person, save the world, save the fucking world. That is basically what these games are all about. Very basic story. They still use it today in the newer Metal Gear games. So yes, storyline wise, it does hold up for the most part. And I rate this game.
I was about to say you did a whole lot of explaining.
I did a lot of explaining, but no rating. So, so overall, I'm looking at the time period, what it did back then, and the fact that it still, for the most part, holds up today. Yeah, let's go for it. I'll give it a 3.5.
Gonna give it a 3.5.
I'll give it a 3.5. It held up very well.
I'm definitely being generous again. I'm giving this a 4. Like, again, for the time, considering the fact that this was essentially on a computer,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And for PC games, yes, we all know today that, oh, well, PC is the master race, but back then, no, you had, like, Oregon Trail to compete with this. You had, like, learning games that you would have to play, like, in on the PC when you were, like, a kid in school. Like, electric floor. Like,
That
you
learned
didn't
you.
really have many games like this. Like, the closest you would get would be, like, knockoff versions of freaking Pac-Man. You know what I mean? Like, there it is. I stalled. Okay. So, yeah, like, just this game itself, like, even though, yes, you can still play it on the NES, and the NES is technically a downgraded version of this, not by much, but just enough that you can tell. No, this game still holds up. Like, the graphics maybe not as much. Like, some of the shit that you said, yeah, you are right about that, but no, I can't fault it that much. The only thing that it is missing to not make it your standard Metal Gear game, I know you keep getting pissed off at this. The only thing that it's really missing is crouching and crawling, and you get that in the very next, I mean, literally, the next game. So I can't fault it too much. Everything is in place here. So what you got, Bill Guy, other than staring at a mine detector and getting pissed off that you just fired a rocket for no reason?
If I have to give this thing a score, I'm telling you, I think that you guys keep mentioning its time and when it was done and everything like that, but here's the truth of it. Our show talks about, does this thing stand the test of time? And I'm going to tell you, I think that a normal person today that picks this game up would be kind of disappointed. I think you have to be a Metal Gear fan. And since our rating system is 5 is perfect, 4 is great, 3 is your basic game, 2 only if you're a fan, and 1, stay away, 0, you're sorry you ever even seen it. I think this thing's like 2.5. I think it's nearing your basic game. It's good. Just about anybody could sit down and play it. But the people that are really going to dig deep and love this game
Or Metal Gear fans.
are going to be Metal Gear fans. I think this is one of those, if you're a fan, you owe it to yourself to check this thing out.
I gave it a little above your average game. So
Well, that's fine because the full thing runs out to a 3.3333333333333 rafflecoptering, killing a helicopter.
it's your average game.
Yeah, it's your average game. It's a 3.33.
It's your average
Which I
game.
think is about where it sits anyway. So, yeah,
Exactly.
that was Metal Gear 1 then. Hey guys, did you like that podcast? If so, head on over to fandomnight.com where you can check out all of our videos, our other members' videos, and subscribe to the RSS feed to get constant podcasts every other day. Later on.